Firstly, I want to apologise for the terrible lighting. I was facing the other way like I normally do, and I didn't like the lighting there at all. I turned round. It's not much better, but it's okay, and it's okay for the subject I want to talk about. Now, originally I was going to talk about this. I wanted to do this in a live because I wanted to bring somebody else in to talk about this. However, I can't go live on YouTube, so I'm just going to talk here. I'm going to lift something up, and it's probably going to give away the subject of what I want to talk about a little bit. No, it's not a Haunted Mansion. Yes, this is a Haunted Mansion notebook, but what I want to talk about is one of my favourite rides of all time. One of my favourite areas of a Disney park of all time. I want to talk about Frontierland, Thunder Mesa, and Phantom Manor at Disneyland Paris. I'm just a tad obsessed with the story of Phantom Manor and of Thunder Mesa. I have plenty of notes on it. Actually, it's not overly that many notes. It's 1, 2, 3. There's 5 pages of the storyline, and then there's a load of notes. I'm just going to go over the storyline in this. Anyone that wants to talk about notes about the ride, about various Easter eggs in the ride and stuff, and various Easter eggs around the area of Frontierland in Disneyland Paris, maybe we can do it on Instagram Live or something. I don't mind. Yeah, let me know. So anyway, for those of you who don't know, and I know there's a lot of people that don't know, because lately I've been seeing a lot of vloggers that don't know the story of Thunder Mesa. They don't understand the story of Frontierland. They don't realise it's all tied in together. In Disneyland Paris, Frontierland and Phantom Manor, it's all part of the same story. It's all canon. So yeah. So this is, just for those who don't know, this is the story of Thunder Mesa, and I will follow that up with the story of, well, I've entitled it The Tragedy of Melanie Ravenswood. But the story of Thunder Mesa is that, obviously, it's a fictional western town. It's protected by Fort Comstock, which guards and protects it from the Native American settlement, which is just outside the town. Which, as you go into Frontierland, you'll see, I think it's 3, might be 4, but I think it's 3 teepees as you're walking into Frontierland. You see the teepees, there's smoke coming from one of them, and there's the fort. You go through the fort and you're in Thunder Mesa. There is also Pocahontas Village, the play area. That is part of the storyline. That's part of the Native American settlement near Thunder Mesa as well. Right, so the story of Thunder Mesa is that it was a small settlement with one store. Everyone that lived there, it was just a small community, and everyone that lived there was either a farmer, a smuggler, a poacher, yeah. And like I said, one store, very small. Fort Comstock guarded it. And then one day in 1853, Henry Ravenswood got lucky. He struck gold in Big Thunder Mountain. And the Big Thunder Mining Company was born. Now, after that, obviously, more and more riches came. People came from all over because there was work there, there was fortune there, there was job opportunities there. More and more stores opened. The Mercantile opened, Silver Spur Steakhouse, and Lucky Nugget Saloon was founded by Miss Diamond Lil. you had all sorts that open. You had on the east side of town where the Lucky Nugget Saloon is, that was where like all the settlers and all the miners, that's where everyone lived. And then on the west side of town was Ravenswood Manor, Silver Spur Steakhouse, all the upper class, higher scale, you know. The high society was on the west, not so high on the east. And then you had obviously like your cowboy cookout barbecue, you had Trails End, and that's all like all where they all get together and just have a laugh and everything outside of the saloons and all that. Basically they had everything at this town. But disaster was lurking. There was a legend and a belief among the Native Americans there of a Thunderbird god. And the Thunderbird god was in Big Thunder Mountain. He protected Big Thunder Mountain. And whenever people would try to steal from Big Thunder Mountain, they'd try and take its riches, he would strike them down with lightning, earthquakes, the works. And of course, what was the Big Thunder Mining Company doing? Stealing the mountain's riches. So one day there was a major earthquake, and in that earthquake Henry Ravenswood and his wife Martha were both killed. Never heard from again. The mining company ceased operations. Everything came to a standstill. The town, people started leaving. It was no longer all that prosperous. And the people that stayed turned back to farming and agriculture as a way to carry on. And it carried on. So that's the story of Thunder Mesa. Now, what ties the Phantom Manor to Thunder Mesa is Henry Ravenswood. Now, Henry Ravenswood, he and his wife had a daughter called Melanie. When he struck gold, obviously they got very rich. He had Ravenswood Manor built. So I'm going through my notes. He had Ravenswood Manor built. He had it built in the colours of white and red. It was grand. It was just amazing. But poor Melanie, his daughter, he basically kept her captive. He sheltered her. He wouldn't let her go out. No one was allowed near her, really. Of course, as she grew, more and more men came to ask for her hand in marriage. He didn't like a single one of them, and he killed every single one of them. There was at least four. So Melanie was basically trapped. She couldn't leave the grounds of the house. It was forbidden. Somehow she met a young man who, some stories say he was one of the miners, and some stories say he worked on the railroad. So he was one of those two, but he planned on taking her far away from Thunder Mesa. They planned on running away together. They wanted to get married, and then they were leaving. He was taking her far away from her possessive and somewhat abusive father. Henry Ravenswood did not approve, needless to say, and he was doing everything in his power to stop this wedding. All his attempts to get rid of this guy, they were just failing. And come the day of the earthquake, of course, he and his wife were killed, leaving Melanie behind. He and Martha were never heard from ever again. Some stories say that the entire family was never heard from again, but if the entire family was never heard from again, this part couldn't have happened, so Melanie was heard from again. Because if she wasn't, then this whole Phantom Manor wouldn't have happened. So there came a stage where the whole family was never heard from again. But that was unexplained. All they knew is that Henry Ravenswood and Martha Ravenswood had died in the earthquake. And I think people believed Melanie had, because the truth of what happened, the people that knew the truth were too scared to speak the truth, so they came out with a different truth. So yeah, after the earthquake, sometime after the earthquake, Melanie was due to marry this young man. They had so many guests there. And it was the big day. Everything was like going to plan. Melanie was getting ready in her room. Now, outside of her room, in the manor, a phantom manifested. As she was getting ready, this phantom lured her groom into the attic of Phantom Manor, or Ravenswood Manor as it was still known then, where the phantom attacked the young man and hanged him by the neck from the rafters, which is obviously what you see in the stretching room at the start when you look up. That's the groom that's been hung from the rafters. And poor Melanie, she exited her room. She didn't know any different. She went down to the ballroom and she waited. She waited. She waited. And she waited. The groom never showed. Hours and hours went by. The guests slowly started leaving. They tried to talk to Melanie, but Melanie wasn't really responding. She'd gone. She'd had years of basically mental torture from her father. She basically lost it. That was the thing that tipped her over the edge, was her groom not turning up for the wedding. She sat in the ballroom, speaking to herself, saying he will come. Eventually that turned into someday he will come. But yeah, guests left slowly, so did the house staff. Melanie was just mad. She fell into madness. She refused to remove her dress. She refused to drop her bouquet. The house staff tried everything. They couldn't get through to her. And things started happening in the house. Things started going from bad to worse. Eventually all the house staff left because everything was just going from bad to worse. Melanie's going mad, so they're leaving. Other things are happening in the manor, so they leave. And eventually Melanie was left on her own in the house. She was very aware of the phantom's laughter. She could hear it. She was surrounded by evil. The phantom started inviting his dead and demonic friends in. He basically had them in the ballroom. He had them everywhere, and they were having a party. And yeah, they were taunting her, basically, with an eternal wedding party. And she never once gave up looking for her lost love. Of course, he in spirit was still there, but he could not get to her. Eventually, Melanie was never heard from again. She died while waiting for her lost love to come back. And she is still in the house. She's still in Phantom Manor. The rumour has it she still wanders Phantom Manor, waiting for her lost love, who's ironically also in the manor, but they cannot get to each other. They are forever stuck in the same house together, but cannot reach each other. Now, we know that the Phantom is Henry Ravenswood. He is Melanie's father. So, all those people that her father killed before that asked for her hand in marriage, and all the ways he tried to stop the wedding but he couldn't, he managed to stop the wedding after death. He came back and he stopped the wedding. So yeah, Henry Ravenswood started off as a great man. He founded the big Thunder mining company. He really led the town into prosperity. But what the townspeople didn't know was how badly he was treating his daughter, that he was killing people. He was insane. He was this horrible, horrible, evil man. I wouldn't be surprised if his wife was going through similar things as Melanie. I wouldn't be surprised if she tried to help Melanie get out. I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually not the earthquake that killed Martha Ravenswood. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Henry Ravenswood that killed his own wife. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Considering what he did to his daughter, I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, we know that the Phantom is Henry. He comes back, he kills Melanie's fiancé on their wedding day. He spends the rest of Melanie's life taunting her until she dies. And because he knows she's cracked up here. All those years of torture, she's gone. She's gone. Not only that, but he spends her entire afterlife taunting her. And we also know that this is what I picked up from the ride, and this is what I picked up from the ride before its refurbishment. We know that she died outside in the grounds of the house because her skeleton used to be in the graveyard scene. Now I've been on the ride this year, I cannot recall seeing Melanie's skeleton in the graveyard scene. If it's there, please guys, correct me. But I can't recall seeing it since the refurb. But as it was in that graveyard scene before, I would say that's where she died. She died when she was in the grounds of the house. She died in the graveyard area. That's where her body was. So it's a really, really sad story. Now the story still carries on. Like when they refurbed Phantom Manor and they had the town's mayor, Will Ketchum, and they had various other people and characters there, they spoke about the tragedy of the Ravenswoods. They spoke about Big Thunder Mining Company. They spoke about things, and they were saying God rest their souls. They were really, really going strong with the story. The story is so perfectly brought together, and it's the whole land is tied in with this one story, this core family. They've built the entire Frontierland around this family, and around Melanie. Frontierland, Thunder Mesa is very much Melanie's story. And also on the reopening night of Phantom Manor this year, there's plenty of videos on YouTube, so just go and have a look it up. There are some really good ones out there. The Phantom and Melanie were greeting guests around Frontierland on the event that happened for the reopening of Phantom Manor. Now the way it was played, it was again, the Phantom was taunting Melanie big time. You had Melanie who was interacting with guests, especially men. She was walking up to men because she was looking for her love. She was trying to find her husband-to-be. So you saw her, she didn't speak, she never smiled, she was very straight-faced, but it was beautiful, and I have to say, that was such a beautiful performance of the story. And Melanie was walking among guests, she was walking around the grounds of Phantom Manor, she was looking up at Phantom Manor, she was everywhere, and she was gorgeous, and she was so beautiful, and I love her. She was being taunted by the Phantom. The Phantom was very menacing, actually. He was interacting with guests, again mainly men. He was scaring them off. Like, Melanie would speak to them, and then he would come up to them as if to say, you stay away from my daughter. He would scare the women off as well, but mainly men were being picked on. And it all ties in with the story, because he didn't want his little girl to grow up. She did. And yeah, he was just a nasty piece of work, Henry Ravenswood. So yeah, that's the story of Phantom Manor and Frontierland at Disneyland Paris. I'm not going to go into too much more. Actually, I'm not going to go into any more of it because I've just noticed how long this video has been going on for. But yeah, that's the story of it. I love Frontierland and Phantom Manor. Is it my favourite ride at Disneyland Paris? No. Star Wars Hyperspace Mountain is my favourite ride of all time, anywhere in the world. But Phantom Manor, thanks largely in part to the storyline behind it, is my second favourite. I prefer it to the Haunted Mansion because of the storyline, because of how strong the storyline is. And the storyline was there from opening day. The whole Frontierland, like I said, was built around this story. They've gone to town. They've not done things by half. People think Disneyland Paris has done things by half. They've not done things by half here. The whole park is amazing in itself, but this Frontierland, they've really gone to town on it. They've seen where they could put a story in that was so strong. And to be honest, when they made the movie of Haunted Mansion, it reminded me of Phantom Manor, and I can't help but think that's actually where they got the story from. Only they turned the table, so it was Master Gracie. It wasn't Melanie Ravenswood. It was Master Gracie, and the butler did it. So yeah, I think they drew inspiration from the film from Phantom Manor, but because it was Haunted Mansion, they had to make it the Haunted Mansion. And yeah, personally, I would love to see another movie come out. I'd love to see Phantom Manor, the movie, or Thunder Mesa. I'd love to see a movie based on this area of Disneyland Paris, because this whole area just blows my mind. I love it so much. I love it. I can't even express how much I love that area of Disneyland Paris. It's everything down to a T is on point. It's unbelievable the lengths they've gone to in this one area of Disneyland Paris. Absolutely unbelievable. If you haven't been, you need to go and see it. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on. So yeah, I better go because I've just seen how long this video's gone on for. But yeah, anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on Phantom Manor and of Thunder Mesa and Frontierland at Disneyland Paris. Have you been? Have you seen it? Do you love it as much as I love it? Do you prefer Haunted Mansion or Phantom Manor? In fact, let's talk about Mystic Manor in Hong Kong, because that's another one that's amazing as well. Yeah, drop a comment down below. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Only if you want to, obviously, but I'd love it I'd really appreciate it if you did. But yeah, let's get a conversation going. Let's talk about Phantom Manor and how awesome it is. Okay, everyone, I better go. Bye.